drain holes drilled in the bottom, a hole here for the watering tube, and something to act as a sump. In this case, anything that you can find. This is a cup from the dollar store. I cut the handles off of it. Or you could use plastic, 3-inch, 4-inch plastic with holes in it. Just make sure when you do whatever you choose as your sump, make sure you use the correct size and drill the correct hole so you don't leave it slide. So we'll get started here.
I use the filter baskets you buy for the ponds.
Or you can use square baskets. You can do it.
You can get like
Anything
$5
that'll work for you. Just make sure that the dimension is adequate enough just to maintain the room for this versus leaving a lot of space.
And it helps have a lip on them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cottage cheese curtains with that too.
So I'm going to use this for this one. So basically all I'm going to do is kind of center this. Just spread it out.
Could you move that one bucket, Dan, so that maybe they can see it a little better?
I'm not a teacher, so bear with me a little bit if I'm a little bit crude at this. I've got battery operated drills, but about the time I use my battery operated ones, the battery would crap out. So.
Crap out. Technical term.
Crap out, that's a technical term.
Uh-huh.
Whatever works, I guess. And it kind of all you have to do is make a hole so you can get a saber saw started in there to drill that hole out. Unless you have a hole saw that's big enough, where did I go? Unless you have a hole saw that's big enough to create that hole. I do at home, but just for practical purposes, I'll do it with this. I'm just going to drill a couple holes. Just to get any size you want.
Just lift it
Just
up
so
and
you
show
can
people
get
the bottom now.
Inside the hole so you can cut this out with a saber saw or a jigsaw like you call it. Just something to get it started.
Jeannie, did you want to assist him?
Not really.
In what?
I don't know.
And you'd like to cut it as tight
Does he need somebody to hold it?
to the
Oh, okay.
as tight to the described line as you could so that it fits kind of snug. If you're doing it, don't do it in your living room. As you can see, there's a little bit of a mess. So there we are.
Here, Dan, could you move the green bucket, please? I can't see you.
It's a little snug. It cracked a little bit there, but I could have been a little bit larger. But no harm, no foul. It's actually serving a purpose. Okay. So that's the first part of the plan. These darn things, they tend to lock into each other. Okay. Now I'm basically just going at random, drill some drainage holes. You don't want water to be able to collect in the bottom of that so that the root system starts rotting. So just be a little sharp with this. Okay, so now you have the sump the drill holes. Now the purpose of that second bucket is going to be to maintain a reservoir for water for this, to the planting pot. Because you're going to take landscaping fabric and lay it inside of this sump. Line that and line the bottom of this bucket with landscaping cloth and filling the entire thing with soil. All the way down into the sump, all the way down, working by laying this inside and just working it down into that sump. And then working it out to the ends and just keep working soil and to maintain a kind of a soil tight compartment inside of this container. So that's the majority, just about, there's not much left. That's pretty much basically getting to the point of the end here. The next thing you need is to drill a hole, and I'll use this one because it's easier. In the bottom so that you have a watering tube, and you can just put it out on the edge someplace at random, just at random. Like such. Because your watering tube is going to go down through this to the bottom of this other tube, or tub. And it's cut at a diagonal, so when you're filling the water out, it's going to spill out into the reservoir. So actually the final part is to drill 2 holes in the sides of this pail so that when you're filling water through that, you fill it until the water runs out here, and you know that that's as far as you can run the water into. And you put it just a hair, the holes a hair lower than this, so you're not having this sitting in water at all the time. So what you have to do is, I screwed this I didn't make the hole big enough, I grabbed the wrong side of saw. But I'm going to measure down with my Polish ruler that's broken on one end. And to the bottom of the hole, or the bottom of the reservoir, it's about 5 inches. So I'm going to drill a hole, and there's about a 1/2 inch there. So 4.5. I'm going to drill a hole. I don't want to screw this up. See if I can cipher it. 1/2 inch less is 4.5. I don't know, sometimes it's reverse thinking when you get older, it's hard to do. This is the easiest.
We can get it.
4 inches. I think it's about 4. It is about 4. I should know it, I built enough of these. So I just put it on where the handles were, just to be 4 inches there. And 4 inches here. So now we got to drill another hole. I can use this because I just put it in the hole. Dropping everything.
Uh-oh, in our drawing it says 5 inches.
So that's basically what it is. It is what it is right there. You can put put a top on it if you like. And basically what you're gonna do is just take the top, cut this out with a saber saw, and cut another round hole, and so this sits like this in here. So when you put the soil in, it'll lock it into that position. And you just water through here until the water comes out here. And you can mix up your fertilizer, your calcium solution, your magnesium solution, pour everything through here. I found that rather than keeping the cover on it, I prefer to just have it covered. Because periodically I'll take and work some fertilizer in, just sneak fertilizer and miss it. And sometimes water it a little bit from the top just to keep the top moist. But you'll be surprised when you take it apart in fall, that the roots will be just conglomerated into that thing because they're searching for that moisture.
So it's one, Dan, there's one plant per
Like this would be one tomato plant,
one tomato.
or one pepper plant, or one cucumber plant.
And then you have these wire things above the bucket to,
Well, this is my own thing. Because I happen to be when I was working, I traveled to Eau Claire, Minneapolis a lot. And I found these type of cages, which I like better than the other ones that are larger on the bottom, self-supporting. The other ones are always so flimsy on the bottom, they're flapping all over. These you can get them right to the ground here like this, and you don't have to stake them. But I thought, well, what am I going to do with the plants outside? I thought, well, let's build a roller cage. So I built the cage, and I says, how the heck am I going to get the cages on it? So I figured out, well, let's just build some Mickey Mouse operation like this. So this is the way I put it. But it's, like I say, it's basically just whatever you think you want to do. But this is my idea.
yeah, that makes sense.
And you can roll them in and out of the garage. And when it's cold out, you can take a clear plastic bag, put them right over the top when the plants are young, and it acts like a little hothouse. Gets too warm, roll it up, put a couple of clothespins on. I don't know if that,
Are these little pieces here just so it doesn't
it's just so
slide?
that it doesn't slide out. I mean, this is just my own thing. You'd have to do something else for your other kind of cages, so.
Yeah, I tried to get mine inside, and that was really hard to get.
But now,
small
let me show you the other option here too then, as long as, is there any questions? I mean, I probably taught it in the wrong way. I was trying to get the idea across. I hope I got the idea across.
Excuse me, Dan, could you take this down first so we can all see you?
Dan, is there only one green hole on the?
No, there's one on each side.
One on each side.
Yeah. That's because when a plant gets really bushy, you can't really tell until you see the water come running out one side or the other. And then there's all kinds of ideas. These are optional things to, every time I see something, I think, how the heck can I make a planter out of it or something? Here's Lynn's lettuce containers. Just put a couple of, and there's a little hothouse. You've got holes in the bottom, you just water it along the side. Once your seedlings get started, you can transplant them. I mean, pretty simple. Swisher sweets.
Swiffer sheets.
You know, I mean, you can, if you're not a big gardener, well, here, you can get a dozen plants in here. And this is totes. You can do it with any size tote. This is, I don't know what size these are.
18 gallons.
6 or 8, 18 gallons or something. But you can get them bigger and bigger. And how these are basically the same principle. Here's your sumps. Here's the bottom of the watering thing, which is the center of this cut out. These are dollar store cups glued on the bottom. Where it sits on the bottom, here's your watering holes.
How come only 2 of those, Dan, have holes?
You can have 4 if you want, but two is
Enough
sufficient.
water. Yeah.
And then-
there's your watering tube. Here's your top, just to kind of keep it rigid. When you put the landscaping cloth in, put excess, a sufficient amount that it runs over.
And how many red cups did you have in there?
There's 4.
4? Yeah, you have to,
You need them to support the bottom of it because there's nothing,
with the soil.
otherwise it's totally useless.
Yeah.
But you can put about 4 pepper plants in here, 2 tomato plants. Well, any questions? The trick is putting this in. I hate doing this because women would probably do a really neat job on this. I look like Neanderthal man when I put it in. But it works anyway. So
Where do you get the landscaping cloth like that?
you can get it any place. It comes in 50 or 100-foot rolls. Walmart, Kmart, Tigers,
Stoffels.
anywhere. Does
Can
that
you,
make any
can you
sense?
lift that up again? No, the
The bottom?
inside, yeah.
See, this was cut out of this,
Right, and only 2 of them have holes in it, the other 2 are
just for support.
support.
But they all
Okay, I
have
got
a
it.
hole in them for drainage,
Uh-huh,
just in case.
yeah.
And you have to, I did them one year and I tried to use, what do you call those ties that you just slip through each other? Drill a hole in here, put 2 of them in, but they were kind of, so just by roughing it up and using some model airplane glue and roughing the cups, it works much better.
How many seasons can you get out of something like this?
As long as it lasts, all you have to do is clean it.
Yeah,
No, I mean really until it falls apart.
right, plastic lasts for.
I mean, I'm not being smart, I mean, as long as it will stay intact, just wash it out with a little bleach and salt, rinse it out and let it dry.
And
I've
you-
got these containers here, I've got the original ones I made, they're about 12 years old and I'm still using them.
And you do want to clean them out because if the tomato plants have blight and all that on there, well, you have to use the, 10 to 1, 1 cup of bleach, 10 cups of water, and you should clean them out.
So I mean, there's a lots of little alternatives, you don't have to spend a lot of money to do a few little things. And I mean, these things fit anywhere, on your windowsill. No, I mean, they do. Huh?
What about the soil that you put in there? Can you use that more than 1 year?
No, I don't. I get rid of it.
Because again, that harbors diseases. Put it in your regular garden.
Because then if you got, by chance, you get blight or something in your soil, you want to get rid of it.
Oh, thank you.
There, I made my mess.
Right, now Dan, you have the other ones put on a wheel situation.
This is going to have wheels when I go.
Okay, because I was gonna
But
say
it's the
that'd
same
be
thing,
heavy.
it's got like a 4-wheel cart on it, you can
Yeah.
slide easy.
Yeah, because that would be heavy to move around.
Yes, it
Yeah,
would.
once you fill it with soil,
It's a lot.
there's probably 9 gallons of soil. So say 5, 6.
Yeah, and then plus the water.
Yeah,
And how do you put that cloth in?
You just have to,
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to fit it. Well, I can try.
Well,
You
no,
get-
you can just,
Like this is going to be sitting in the center. Let's say that it's all intact. So what you want to do is you want to work this down in and leave enough hanging out that will go up the sides of up the pail. Fill this full and then just start a little handful here and holding it up and working it up so that you keep it kind of watertight. Or I mean not watertight, but soil tight.
right.
And just work it up until you're out of cloth. You don't have to go all the way to the top, just maybe this far above the bottom.
What soil have you been using in those?
I use Schultz.
That Miracle Grow stuff?
Schultz Plus, Moisture Plus. The only place I can find it right now is at Menards.
And we've had Miracle Grow stuff too.
You
That
can
has
use any kind,
perlite
but
in
use a
there.
good soil. Don't be chintzy if you're going to do it because you got a captive audience when you're planting in such a small space. You might as well
Moisture Plus.
use good soil and good advantage. Take advantage.
Good potting mix.
You could probably put 4 sweet pepper plants in here.
Oh, okay.
Probably 2 tomatoes. I mean, you You could put 2 cucumber plants and let them run out. You could plant carrots in there, you could plant radishes, you could plant lettuce, you could plant anything.
How would melons do?
I suppose they would do all right. There's enough volume to soil as long as you give them enough food, feed them enough.
And then sometimes if you put the trellis on the side like you did for the cucumbers went up.
Yeah, I had a tote like this, a regular round tote, and I had something like this that was cut off. So I had a half, like a half moon, going up. And I ran a cucumber plant up and I let it drain all the way over. Had salad cucumbers out of that sitting out in the front yard. Like I said, you can use your imagination as to what you can use to build what you can with what you have. Like I said, you don't have to go, you don't have to go to a hardware store and pay $2 a foot for pipe, and you can go to a dollar store and get these 3 for $1 and just cut the handle off and use it. It's perfect. It serves the same purpose. It's plastic. It's not going.
We've had people stopping at the house because they know we start plants, and they always say, well, when do you start your tomato plants? And he used to start them in February, and they'd be 4 feet tall, and then they'd die. Usually the middle of April, he starts the tomatoes, and the beginning of April, the pepper plants, because they take about 2 weeks sometimes to even pop out of the ground, if they're going to. They can be stinkers.
What's nice is, if you have a deck, you have a small place with a little porch on it, open porch, or even a enclosed porch where you got a little sunlight, you can throw one of these in here, and then you can harvest tomatoes all right into the fall, as long as you have enough light, enough water, enough nutrients. It's actually fun to watch them because you put them in, you wonder, oh my God. I don't know how do you plant your tomatoes? Do you plant your tomatoes deep? Like say you've got plants that are real leggy.
Plant them up to the top.
Okay. I'll give you a little secret.
Lay them down in a ditch.
If you get leggy plants, a lot of people don't want them leggy, they want them short. Because they figure, well, geez, they're so leggy, they're not going to be worth the darn. When mine gets too big for me, I'll take and strip all the leaves off except the top 4. And I'll take a trench.
And then lay
Down
it.
about this way. Lay it down and just keep the top out. You want to see tomatoes grow. Because you got that whole stem system that's going to root. It's going to gather water, going to gather heat, going to gather nutrients. And they'll take off like gangbusters. People say you're nuts to find like that. But you'll be surprised what you get.
I had
And
a
I-
jungle last year from those, that you gave me 6.
Yeah, and they were big, I bet.
And they were tall and skinny
Because they started.
and ugly and whatever, and I took them home and I trenched them, and I had a jungle.
Yeah,
You're
that works
supposed
really,
to hit
that's
them
how I
east
know.
or west.
You don't have to. They will go up. They get sun.
And I've even, if the peppers even got leggy, they say the old wives' tale where you shouldn't plant peppers below the ground level that they're planted, they're started. I've done the same thing with peppers, not horizontally, but vertically. Put them this far below where they were supposed to be, and they take off again. So it's just experiment, and it's kind of fun to watch stuff grow when you try new ideas. And this is, anybody can do this. You got an apartment, throw it out on your steps.
I put tomatoes in my flower garden and just let them
Let 'em
ramble. Boy, do they get a lot of roots on the stem.
Yes.
Along the stem.
How they do. Even if the stem's laying on the ground, they'll start.
Yeah.
They'll start.
Oh.
They'll start searching.
Looks gnarly.
I pulled some out. I grew an Amish gold variety.
Ooh, yeah.
It's like eating a peach. They were so sweet and so soft, but yet not mushy, just like a peach type flavor or texture. And I did them that way because they were so big. I thought, geez, I got one row. I have to throw them in or half a dozen. But I can't believe how many tomatoes I got. And they were all about the size of a hard ball. They just were consistently that same size. And I tried to pull the roots out. I think I needed a backhoe to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
Because they were in this far, and I mean, they were really down like this. It was like an octopus in the ground. So
Yeah.
they'll grow really well by putting them horizontally. Yes, sir.
Sometimes if your first plant dies off or something happens, you're using last year's soil in a regular garden. Your second crop of tomatoes will all produce your first crop. You don't have to plant them, they'll come volunteers.
Oh,
You
yeah.
get a volunteer one in the garden, just take care of them and I get better fruit out of the second
Oh,
one.
yeah, that's happening.
It's amazing.
I compost a lot of things, I'll dig a hole in the garden. If I'm cleaning tomatoes or cleaning stuff, I'll put it down in there. Pretty soon in the spring, you got tomatoes. And you grow better than the ones sometimes than when you start.
One of the,
Potatoes are coming out of your ears everywhere.
one of the things I learned related to what you just said is if you're like making soup or something, you've got a lot of things that would be compostable, and you don't have an indoor or outdoor compost, put them in a blender, blend them with some water, go out to your garden with a little flag, like steal one of those electrical ones they have, you know? And you just,
So you're the ones that stole
I
it.
do. You only need one. I only did it once, didn't get caught.
I work
And
for the electric.
you just dig a hole and pour it in and put the flag there, and then you know where that you fertilized the last time, and you just keep moving it down.
We direct compost because we're too lazy to do the
But you can even
the
make a
regular
compost.
composting pile. Ugh.
You can even make a composter out of a 5-gallon pail. Just roll it around, put it in and turn it, turn it. Now, there's a lot of ideas, you know. I'm sure you come up with your own, but it gives you some kind of an idea of what you can, can't do, I guess. There's nothing you can't do. Find something new to do, that's all.
Well, thank you, Daniel.
That's my dog and pony show.